Hey, welcome back everybody, I'm Chance, and this is part 7 of our live beginnings, and always, let's get into it. Alright, so, I'm gonna put on my glasses for today because my eyes hurt. So, anyways, where we left off, the last one we did was Long Day, and it was, a very long day indeed. We hung out with Shiloh for a little bit, went and got ice cream, he didn't want any, and then we ended up running into Cove and Lizzie, and we ding-dong ditched old people, then we went to the hill, and then we ended up having to take a bath because we like splish-splashed in the ocean water and we shouldn't have, and all that crazy things. But yeah, so this is the last one of step 1. Fireflies, and it's actually the one I've been looking most forward to because I like Fireflies and I want to know what's gonna happen with them. So enough of me rambling, let's do the thing. Alright, tonight we're going to catch fireflies. Yes. At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Fireflies were a familiar sight over summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky. Tonight was particularly balmy. You knew there were bound to be a ton of them around. Oh, you are you? Yeah, you started eating faster. You looked over at your mom's. You pushed your food around your plate. Let's start eating faster. A grin curved your lips as you started to eat a bit faster, excited for what was to come. It seemed like you were too excited, however, as you started to choke and cough on your food from shoveling it down so quickly. Mommy reached over to pat you on the back, firmly helping to dislodge the noodles and enable you to breathe again. Well, that's good. Glad to not die. You took a big gulp of water from your glass, giving your moms a sheepish look. Oops. That's a good idea, Lizzie. Can we, Mrs. Pumpernickel? Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started. I mean, it's pretty usual in the last one that happened, in a long day. But normally she would have picked him up, so I guess it must be later than that. But normally she would have picked him up by now. She called before dinner to let your moms know she'd be late. You didn't hear why, probably more work things. I don't know, something's been up. And she's looking a little bit like she knows what's happening. You thought maybe getting to hang out with Shiloh for longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she'd get your moms to agree. Well, it's already so dark out there. Lizzie gave Mom the best puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while you waited there for their response. Let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. You're back. Your parents exchanged a look, then Mom eventually sighed and nodded back. Yes! Along with Lizzie's cheers, you threw your arms up in triumph, but waited until you'd finished chewing to say anything because you knew it was rude to talk with your mouth full.
Fine.
Well, I'm nice. Fine. Just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the poppies, okay? Duh, Mom. That's where most of them are. The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spread out in front of you, like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mommy read sometimes. All too quickly, it became a race to see who could finish their food first. No choking at the dinner table now. That's right. If someone died, we'd have to cancel the Firefly trip after all. Her Her smile is so funny. Why is she smiling at that? Mom said it like a joke, but you knew that they were both telling you kids to slow down. Shiloh did immediately. When you glanced at Lizzie, you saw her still eating faster than she should. Elizabeth!
Jeez.
No one is going to die. Sheesh. Is that foreshadowing? I don't like that. That's eerie. A knock on the door interrupted Mom before she could no doubt scold your sister. Is it Cove? Is it Cove? Is it Cove? I'll get it! Your big sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open without even looking out the window to see who it was. Huh? You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest.
Hi.
It is Cove! Good morning. Good morning. Good evening, Cove. Your mom had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see Shiloh's flappy hat. Oh, Cove! Hi! You're here! Cove smiled at your enthusiastic greeting, and you hoped Mommy would ask him to stay. It didn't matter why he was there, it meant he could join you all in catching fireflies. Then, for a few seconds, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mommy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. My dad told me to drop this off because I guess he borrowed it from you. Cove took a familiar screwdriver from out of his large side pocket. Eyes now dropped to the floor. We left ours back home when we moved. Great. Thanks. Bye. Thank you. Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Lizzie, back up. Cove shrugged and Mom stood from the table too. I'll give your dad a call to let him know you got here all right. Cove shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him. Why does it look like this? Hi, Cove. Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile while waving by, holding up his hand and opening and closing his fingers. Cove nodded in response. Cove, are you going to catch fireflies with us? You could come outside with us if you want to. You weren't sure what to say now. They're gonna ask me if he wants to catch fireflies. You can see Lizzie eyeing you for mentioning the excursion to an outsider, but she'd get over it. You hoped Cove would say yes. That way, you wouldn't be the odd one out with Lizzie and Shiloh anymore. I can do that. I've never caught one before. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. The fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must not have been anywhere he used to live. We can't go until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Cove stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What did you have? Eggs. Yes! Breakfast for dinner. The clipped, one-word answers seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. I guess I guess Cove doesn't like eggs. Her phone call with Cove's dad must have ended because your mom came back into the room.
Okay.
Cove, your dad said you can stay for a little while if you'd like, but he's going to come get you before it gets too much later. Sure.
Fun.
Oh, fun. This will be so nice. As you polished off the meal, you hoped it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. We're probably going to stray too far. It's fine, Mom. Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie, he was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door. Coming? After a moment, he did.
Bye.
Bye, children. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh by the time you walked outside. You pushed the door shut behind you, watching their figures get farther and farther away. You're so slow, Jamie! We don't have all night. You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Cove still walking at a relaxed pace. Are you gonna come? You tugged him along. You walked with him. You waved at him to hurry. You ran off. Let's tug him along. Let's see what happens. Let's go. You reached out, first for his cast arm, then corrected yourself and grabbed his other instead. He stumbled a bit at your pull, but went along easily enough after he got his balance. Look at all the fireflies! When you arrived at the hill with Cove in tow, your eyes widened at the beautiful sight. There were a lot of fireflies out, glowing against the backdrop of the dark sky. Lizzie was already standing on top of the hill, and Shiloh was running around near the middle.
Wow.
What he said. Shiloh took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill. Hi guys! It's really great out, huh? See how many there are? Yeah. A firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea green head. Shiloh couldn't help but giggle. You and Shiloh couldn't help but giggle. You quietly looked on. You shooed the bug away. Let's both giggle. Oh no. Covering your mouth with a hand, the sound escaped you and Cove looked at you in confusion. What? Oh, look! Lizzie has one! That's amazing! Shiloh ran to the highest point of the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on. Spotting one close by, you approached it like with assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem like less of a threat. Slowly, dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept up towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hands around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, almost docile, and you stared down at your prize in delight. Its tiny legs tickled your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cove kept up with his own target, but when he tried to grab it, his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clap his hands around the firefly. Ugh. Cove watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. You encouraged him to try again. You told him about the firefly you had. You made a joke about what happened. You did your own things. So I'm torn. Do we tell him about our firefly? Or do we encourage him to try again? I think we encourage him to try it again because I really want him to freaking catch one. So maybe if we encourage it, maybe he will. You'll get the next one. Did you catch one? You nodded, and Cove gave up his hunt for the moment, coming closer and peering at the insect still crawling across to your palm. You held out your hand, and he leaned closer, eyes widening a tad behind his glasses. Cove remained hypnotized by the little bug as he inched his hand closer to yours. We can just freaking give him ours. Ultimately, he settled his fingers lightly on top of the ones you were holding up. It tingled. You stayed very still. You pulled your hand back. This is so cute. Stay very still. Maybe the bug will crawl on his. The last thing you wanted was to accidentally scare the shiny treasure off. Aww! The firefly, noticing the new connection, crawled up onto Cove's hand. He quietly gasped. It worked. Yeah, you got one. Cove's lips turned up into a slow smile and his eyes shined brighter than the bug. Thanks, Jamie. With a laugh, he gave the palm of your hand a friendly smack, performing an awkward low five. Startled by the extreme movement, the tiny light disappeared before you could even blink. Your firefly was gone.
Sorry.
Oops, sorry. You scolded him, you forgave him, you teared up. Forgive. Like, not that big of a deal. We can catch more. That's okay. I couldn't keep it forever.
You're right.
Right. Bugs have to stay outside. That. Isn't that what he said in, like, the previous parts? Let's get another. You decided to collect more? Yeah, it was when we were talking about the snails. He got judgmental about my snail catching. You decided to collect more. You decided to sit in the grass and watch. Let's collect more. Uh-huh. We can work together. His face broke out with a wide grin. Oh my god! We'll get a bunch. With renewed vigor, you ran out into the hill. You're not sure how much time passed while you were in the thick of it. All you could focus on was the adventure at hand. No critter was safe from your grasp. At first you tried to keep a tally of how many you had caught, but once the number grew higher than 10, you had no more fingers left to count with. Count your toes. You were having the time of your life, racing up and down the hill with the crash of the ocean at the sound of everyone's laughter echoing in the background. Jamie, this way! You followed the sound of Cove's voice to the top of the hill, watching as he stretched his arms in front of him, reaching his fingers and only narrowly missing his target. Cove and you took turns trying to scare fireflies in the direction of each other. You showed him some techniques that you had learned, like how to cup your hands correctly, and he listened attentively before trying for himself. There were a few times when you almost ran into each other, giggling as you dove to the side at the last moment. Luckily, disaster was avoided each time. It was an overall huge success, with the both of you catching multiple fireflies each. Eventually the fireflies began to thin out and your energy started to lapse. You decided it was time to call off the hunt. Cove didn't complain. He breathed in heavily and his face seemed really flushed. That was fun. A lot of fun. You smiled at him broadly, happy that he had enjoyed the activity. Yeah, it was.
Come on!
Jamie, Cove, get up here. We're gonna have a race. Oh god. The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. You glanced over to see them both standing on top of the hill again, Lizzie beckoning to you with quick hand gestures. That's so pretty. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming as well. He didn't care for Lizzie a lot, but so you thought he might be intrigued by the idea. Hi! Hi! Cove, you can roll down the hill. You could hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee for the rest of us. Fair point. As Lizzie pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of race. He frowned down at his cast. That was the second time it got in the way tonight. Oh, they're rolling down the hill. I think I read that wrong. What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important. Got it? I guess. The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else the referee, but it was already decided. You got into position for the race. I'll stay with Cove. I'm gonna do something else. Okay, so here's where my brain's at. You got into position for the race, meaning like we could participate in the race and then win, right? It'd be awesome to win this race. Or we can just say, I'll stay with Cove. And then that might force Lizzie's hand into making us all race. We're gonna go with that. We'll try and play like 4D chess or something.
Really?
Really? Why? You don't have to. It's okay. I want to watch. You move beside him on the top of the hill. Even though Lizzie eyed you, it made a face. That's not how races work. We only need one referee. Shrugging your shoulders, you refuse to budge, and Lizzie let out a huff before throwing her hands in the air. Fine. I'll be the winner, whether you join or not. Lizzie moved to lay down, and Shiloh did the same. Cove stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point, and you stood next to him. Count down. Cove stood up a little straighter. It seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously. 3, 2, 1, go! Lizzie and Shiloh took off, letting gravity do the work and rolling at high speed towards the bottom of the hill. You and Cove leaned forward to watch them go, eyes peeled for which of the two would reach the bottom first. They were both neck and neck, until about halfway down the hill, Lizzie started to veer off to the side, giving Shiloh a huge advantage. Let's go, Shiloh! She obviously hadn't noticed a thing, and as soon as Shiloh reached the bottom of the hill, he jumped up excitedly and threw his hands in the air. Dude, our boy Shiloh just won! You know, even though I didn't get to race, which I was kind of hoping would happen, it kind of makes me happy about Shiloh. I won! Almost immediately he fell back onto the grass, still dizzy from his roll down the hill. Lizzie stomped out of the bush she had ended up in, spluttering angrily and brushing leaves from the front of her dress. Not bad. You got lucky. Let's do it again and see who wins for real. Kids, it's time to come in. No! You snickered, feeling grateful you hadn't been a part of the mini debacle. You caught Cove's eyes and saw that he was doing the same. It had gotten late and was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills. But the cold in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together, side by side down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening, with each person trying to prove that they were the one who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter much anyway. All that mattered was that you all had a good time, which, judging by the smiles on everyone's faces, you did. And there you go! That's the last one of step 1, and then we're going to end summer and see what happens from there. That was everything that I could have hoped for the Fireflies. That was super cute. I love that Cove and Jamie worked together to catch them, and then the little rolling down the hill race, Shiloh winning. Like, yeah. Anyways, I'm done rambling. That was cuteness overload for me. If you like this, please leave a thumbs up. If you have any comments to leave them down below. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!